Good day, students, and welcome to our online science class. Before we begin, make sure to prepare the following materials with you. Your textbook, pages 17 to 21, your pen, and your highlighter. The lesson that we are going to discuss in this video is Lesson 2 of Chapter 1, How Can Matter Be Described? The objective of this lesson is to compare and contrast solids, liquids, and gases by using their basic properties. In our previous lesson, we discussed what makes up matter. Matter is defined as anything that has mass and takes up space. Matter is made up of elements. Elements are the ingredients that make up all other substances. Elements are made up of atoms. Atom is the smallest part of an element that still has the properties of the element. Atoms are made of subatomic particles known as protons, neutrons, and electrons. A compound is a type of matter made of two or more elements. A molecule is the smallest particle of a compound that still has the properties of that compound. If you would look around you, you can see many things. Think about how you describe these things. What do you think they have in common? You may be able to think of their similarities, but one key similarity is that they are all matter. Your book, your pencil, the light bulb, even you are matter. But how can we describe matter? We can describe matter through its properties. The characteristics of a substance which enable us to distinguish it from any other substances are called its properties. Like if a solid is hard, the temperature of the water, or the color of the fume or a gas. Every solid, liquid, and gas has its own set of physical properties. The physical properties of a material can be observed, described, and measured without changing the material. We observe and describe using our five senses. Some properties can be measured using tools such as balances, rulers, or thermometers. One example of physical property is color. Color is very useful because you can determine the color of a piece of matter just by looking at it. Color often helps us determine the kind of matter we are looking at, or the state and condition of that piece of matter. For example, these rocks are gray in color, and we can tell that they are solid and they are hard. Aluminum is silver in color. This aluminum is in flat sheet. Sulfur is yellow, and this sulfur is in crystal form. Cobalt is bluish, and we can tell that it's in powder form. This substance is iodine. Solid iodine is dark purple, almost black. When this solid iodine is heated, heat turns it into purple gas. Solid and gaseous iodine have different colors. Another physical property of matter is mass. Mass is the amount of matter in a solid, liquid, or gas. Mass is measured using a balance, often using units of grams or kilograms. We often weigh objects to get an idea of their mass. Just like when you have a doctor's appointment, you step on a scale to get your weight. But actually, that is not your weight that they are measuring. It is your mass. Mass and weight are not the same thing. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. Weight depends on gravity. Suppose you step on a weighing scale and your mass measures 36 kilograms. Your mass on Earth is 36 kilograms. When you go to the moon, your mass would be 36 kilograms. Your mass on Earth is the same with your mass on the moon. Weight, on the other hand, will be different because weight depends on the acceleration of gravity. Your weight on Earth will be different from your weight on the moon because Earth's gravity is stronger as compared to that of the moon. Therefore, your weight on the moon would be lesser as compared to your weight from Earth. Let's take a look at this one. If you would notice that his mass on the moon and on Earth are the same, 120 kilograms. But his weight on Earth is larger as compared to his weight on the moon because of the gravitational acceleration. We can calculate weight with this formula. Weight is equal to mass times the acceleration of gravity. But let's save that to another video. In order to find the mass of an object, we can use a balance. We can place an object on one side of the balance, and on the other side, we can place objects of known mass, such as gram cubes. The empty container on the left has a mass of 8 grams. We know this because it takes 8 cubes to balance it. Each cube has mass of 1 gram. These cubes are gram cubes. They are objects of known mass. We can also determine the mass of a liquid. This container has now water. More cubes are needed to balance the extra mass. These extra cubes match the mass of the water. Can you tell the mass of the water? All you need to do is count the added cubes. Gases have mass too. The inner tube has more mass when it is pumped full of air than when it is flat. Solids, liquids, and gases have mass. Another way to describe matter is by its volume. Volume is the amount of space an object takes up. If you would remember the definition of matter, that is anything that takes up space and has mass. The phrase takes up space actually refers to volume. Volume can be measured in milliliters. We can use a graduated cylinder to find the volume of substances. To find the volume of a liquid, you just need to pour the liquid into the graduated cylinder and read the volume of the scale at the surface. The liquid in this graduated cylinder has a volume of 60 ml. Solids also have volume. If you put liquid in a graduated cylinder and let a solid object sink in the liquid, the solid takes up some space. The liquid that was in the space is forced to go up. The change in the height of the liquid column tells you the volume of the solid. When this toy car sank, the water level went up to the 68 ml mark. That means that the volume of the car is 8 milliliters. Just like solid and liquid, gases have volume too. In fact, a small mass of gas can fill a large volume. You can measure the volume of a gas using an upside-down, partially submerged graduated cylinder filled with water. If you blow air into the cylinder with a straw, the bubbles will push some water out. The volume of water pushed out is the same as the volume of the gas. 25 ml of air was blown into this cylinder. The air pushed out 25 ml of water. Another way to describe matter is via temperature. The temperature of an object is a measure of how fast its particles are moving. The higher the temperature, the faster the particles move. Take a look at this example. Notice that the particles are moving. If you would observe clearly, the faster the particles move, the higher the temperature. We cannot see the particles that make up the object, but we can tell when they are moving faster because the object becomes hotter. We can measure temperature using thermometer in degrees Celsius and in degrees Fahrenheit. Knowing the temperature of solids, liquids, and gases is very useful. For example, the temperature of your body can help monitor a health problem. The water in fish tank needs to be kept at the right temperature, and a weather report gives us the temperature of the air. Another physical property of matter is texture. The surface structure that you can feel by touching a material is its texture. When you touch a solid object, you can feel if it is hard, or you can feel if it is smooth. Other objects may feel lumpy or grooved. Some would feel spongy, some are rough. You can also feel the texture of a liquid by rubbing a drop between two fingers. A drop of shampoo may feel soapy. A drop of oil will feel oily. Other liquids may feel slimy, sticky, or thick, just like this paint. The rough texture of sandpaper can scratch other materials. Many stones can be polished to give them a very smooth texture. Liquid soap feels slippery. That is how we can describe matter. Today we learned that the characteristics of a substance which enable us to distinguish it from any other substances are called its properties. The physical properties of a material can be observed, described, and measured without changing the material. Color is a physical property of matter. We also learned other physical properties of matter, such as mass, which is the amount of matter in a solid, liquid, or gas. Volume, the amount of space an object takes up. Temperature. The temperature of an object is a measure of how fast its particles are moving, and the surface structure that you can feel by touching a material is called its texture. Don't forget to log into your Pearson account for online homework. I hope you learned a lot from this video. Until next time!